Security is going to be a big conversation, and it already is a big conversation. People are interested in safety. People want security, and I think that the cryptocurrencies that manage to fill that vacuum that's been opening up for security in the age of artificial intelligence, it's really going to be a key determining factor moving forward. And I think Digibyte has been doing just that. I mean, we've been seeing in the news that that's basically where Tate's interested in taking this technology and applying the power of the Digibyte blockchain in that interest. And I think that there's no other project that would actually be the perfect, one for the job. Today we are talking about Digibyte, the longest major blockchain in the world today. And there's actually 5 proof-of-work algorithms with Digibyte. Really moving forward, the history behind Digibyte ultimately is going to be a key factor moving forward as far as the competition goes. Really the history behind Digibyte and the fact that it's well established with its great community is really going to be making a big impact on the community from this point moving forward. So how's it going, everybody? My name is Crypto. Feel free to follow us on Snapchat, and like I said, today the topic of discussion is actually Digibyte. And it's interesting how Digibyte has shifted its primary focus. It's not on payments. It's actually on security, and I think that Digibyte really is the perfect catalyst for this, and this really is reflective of the team's forward thinking as far as the way that they've been looking at the way that trends have been unfolding and the future of these technologies and how they're actually going to be playing a role in the future of the world. And ultimately this is going to be the subject of this video. We're going to be talking about how the development of new technologies is going to be opening up a huge vacuum for these cryptos with these developed spaces who have already established themselves, already established this trust within the community, and how that's going to be leveraged in a lot of these new variables. So it's going to be an interesting video. Just for starters, a fun fact about Digibyte is the fact that it's 40 times faster than Bitcoin, and it's 10 times faster than Litecoin. You could actually watch this great interview with the founder of Digibyte, where he essentially goes over a lot of these different things and makes an interesting case for the future of this technology. A smart strategy is really important when it comes to the competition of the cryptocurrency space as it currently stands, because we're so early in the world of cryptocurrency that we could honestly see things going in dramatically different ways than they currently are right now. And seeing where Digibyte has been positioning themselves really is interesting, considering the fact that there is a strong community that's already built itself around Digibyte. The fact that Digibyte's been around for such a long amount of time, the fact that on various different social media platforms Digibyte already has a strong presence, which is something that's can't be said for every single cryptocurrency on here. And then we see these various different news items regarding Digibyte, and I was reading this one by the crypto globalist. Digibyte's primary focus is not payments, and I think that this is really important. I think that this is ultimately going to be a huge determining factor that leads to the success of Digibyte, and ultimately we'll probably start to see Digibyte dominate over a lot more cryptocurrencies. I mean, it's already in the number 33 position, but I think that there is a strong probability that Digibyte will be a higher rank because of where they're actually positioning themselves and how they're meeting a demand of a growing space that's actually really starting to rise right now, and it's artificial intelligence. And that's ultimately what Digibyte is strategically putting themselves in the that direction. I heard the founder of Digibyte was actually in an interview where he was talking about the fact that the future of these cryptocurrencies really does have I mean, in particular when it comes to Digibyte, Digibyte definitely could be a really big variable in terms of security when it comes to these artificial intelligence applications that are going to be implemented implemented into various different levels of society. And ultimately, when it comes to looking at these different variables unfold, certainly this is a forward thinking, and really we've talked about this before, in the fact that the cryptocurrencies that manage to position themselves in alignment with these new developments that are going to be happening involving things like artificial intelligence, it's ultimately going to be a determining factor as we see the space maturing over the next period of time. Of course, we've talked about this before. Who goes into a Dunkin' Donuts and buys a cup of coffee using some Litecoin, using some Ethereum, using some Bitcoin? You never see anybody in Starbucks buying their cup of coffee and a donut with any Bitcoin. And this is really a symptom of a larger problem, and this is ultimately a problem that needs to be faced, and it ultimately, I think, will be faced as far as technology and more people around the world becoming more technologically literate, more internet literate, and using cell phones all around the world, more people spreading in that respect. And ultimately, I think the problem will solve itself. But that being said, we still currently face the old world paradigm needs to very much adapt to the internet paradigm, and it's happening every single day. And every year we witness various different leaps and bounds of technology that almost seemed unimaginable the year before. But as we move forward, it's ultimately going to be interesting to see how these cryptocurrencies that position themselves to actually fulfill the needs and demands of everyday variables that ultimately, I mean, we talk about stuff like Tron and the fact that they're leveraging the cryptocurrency technology to get themselves in the space of media providing, basically compete with social media and essentially platforms like YouTube and so forth. And we've seen Steam have success doing similar things with their D2 project and among others. And ultimately, I do think that this is the cryptos that are actually doing something, rather than the ones that are just sitting around attempting to be something that they're not, because ultimately the space of who's buying what with what is really dominated by the USD still. It's still dominated by the euro. It's dominated by the yen. It's dominated by the peso. It's a long way off before we start seeing people using Bitcoin instead of the yen. It's happening some places around the world, sure, and it does grow more and more every single day. And ultimately, this is leading to why I say that the problem will ultimately solve itself in a long enough timeline, because projected over enough years, cryptocurrency ultimately does have, even in the most skeptical way of calculating this sort of prediction, it is really a high probability that we'll be seeing cryptocurrency, just because crypto has such a it's more forward thinking as far as how technology and the internet can be playing these roles and making things a lot more simpler. It's essentially a similar paradigm shift to the invention of the internet itself. Nobody could have imagined all the various different ways that the internet is and still will be developing and having various different ways of interacting with everyday life. And it is an interesting thing to see happening right in front of us, and I think Digibyte certainly does have an interesting idea of how the future is going to look. And of course, the founder of Digibyte really is a special, it's interesting to look at the team behind these technologies. And I think that from a data perspective, Digibyte has a solid blockchain, and ultimately blockchain is going to be a huge variable moving forward as well. I mean, I talk trash about Litecoin, but really at the end of the day, I love Litecoin, and I have to say Litecoin does have a unique and valuable blockchain as well that's ultimately going to be much more valuable as things move forward and there's more of a demand for blockchain. And ultimately moving forward, I mean, obviously remember, this video is not financial advice. It's for educational purposes only. I'm not your dad. All that being said, though, my opinion about Digibyte, it is positive because I've done my research involving this technology. I recommend that you guys do your research about these things too.